Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, I'll tell you some tips on how to obtain the 20 bomb in Apex Legends. Now, I want to start off by saying that I'm not going to show you any glitch or any cheat. These are going to be some real tips on how to obtain it properly. First off, I just want to make sure that you guys get that I'm an honest person, and I'm not gonna break your feelings or any shit like that, but this is a hard badge to unlock, and many of the people searching or clicking on this video are not the best players. This badge requires a good bit of skill, a good bit of luck, and I would recommend that people that have a good time spent on a game and good players try and obtain it. And then if you're not a very good player, then you shouldn't expect getting it right away. Just let it it's gonna take a little time, okay? But these tips are gonna help you either way. If you're a good player or if you're a bad player, just take these tips and try and improve, and you'll get it sometime. But if you're a good player and you use these tips, then you should be able to get it pretty quickly. I mean, these tips are really good. Now, in the background of the video, we're gonna see this gameplay where I got the 20 bomb on Bloodhound. This was a very clutch round. I barely obtained the 20 bomb. I was pretty lucky. So the RNG is it's a bit of RNG, but it's also a bit of skill. Now we can get into tip number 1. Tip number 1. When you first get an Apex, try going into the firing range and warm up until you feel ready and your fingers are warm. The first game of the day, you always have a big advantage over the other people if you're already warmed up, because you're gonna be against other people's first game as well. Now, just warming up and getting ready, it's just a huge advantage over the other people. And the best way to do this is just going into the firing range, picking up a sentinel, a wingman, flick shotting, trying to get peek shot and shit, so you can get your aim ready to fight. You can also pick up R99 without any attachments and try hitting your shots and see and warming up. After whatever time you need to warm up, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, you can jump into a match and you're gonna be warm and ready to fight. And other people are not going to be as warm and as ready as you are. Okay, now we'll get into tip number 2. Tip number 2 is which fight to take and how to fight if you're going to go for the 20 bomb. Now, one of the biggest reasons as to why people don't obtain the 20 bomb, if you don't look at RNG but other reasons, is because people rush everything and just expect to get a match where they obtain 20 kills. Just running straight into every fight will just lead to a certain death in almost any scenario. You need to take many early game fights, but you don't need to rush, grapple into people, jump into full teams. You gotta play aggressive, but you gotta play smart. You gotta play cover, and you gotta play position and high ground. Now, tip number 3 is pretty similar to tip number 2, so I'm just gonna have them really close up to each other, and that's getting kills. The most important thing when you're going for high kill games is when you're attacking people, you gotta thirst the first guy you kill always. This is very crucial because it makes a 1v3 or a 3v3, a 3v2 or 1v2. That's way better than a 1v3 or 3v3 because it gives one team a huge advantage over the other. In a 3v2 scenario, you have a huge advantage of the other team because you have an extra person. The other thing that makes it a huge difference is that you secure the kill and you get 100 extra damage that game for just thirsting that guy. If you didn't know every single guy you thirst, you get 100 damage for just thirsting him, which makes a huge difference if you're going for a 3k or a 4k as well. Now let's get into one of the most asked tips. What weapons to run when you're going for the 20 bomb? It's loads of weapons which you can run when you go for the 20 bomb. It's a couple different like weapon combos I would go for, but in most fights you're gonna get into like super close range fights, and having the SMGs and shotguns are gonna be like such a huge impact in like the close range battles. Combos like double R9, Volt R9, R9 Mastiff is gonna dominate close range fights. The thing about having a close range fight is that most players run one long range gun and one close range gun. If you run double close range, you're gonna have a huge advantage over the other guy in a 1v1 fight. You can just switch over to his secondary gun and he can either reload his primary or use his long range gun on you up close. Now having like close range guns are almost always the best, but you can always run, for example, a Hemlock and a R9, because a Hemlock is such a good weapon mid-range, and you can like knock people mid-range and then push up close. Also, some ARs are pretty good if you can use them well. I would always recommend using close range guns, but you can always use long range as well. It's up to whatever you prefer, what weapons you're comfortable with, and whatever like weapons that have like the best DPS. Now the weapons with the best DPS is of course the SMGs, which I would recommend you running, but Hemlock is also really good. And despite this new nerf, it's still one of the best guns in the game, and that's one of the guns I run when I go for the 20 bomb, although it's no close range gun. Now another really important thing is which map you should like try and get it on, where to drop, and things like that. Now as of right now, Olympus and World's End are the only maps in rotation, and Olympus would be my best pick for getting 20 bomb. The drop locations you should drop on Olympus is Oasis and Bonsai, but only if they're like in the start of the dropship, because if they're in the back or like far away from the dropship, nobody's gonna land there and you're not gonna get any kills. A place that always has people no matter like how far it is from the dropship is Estates. Now the thing about Estates is it has really bad loot, but if you just keep on landing Estates, you're gonna have that one game where you get a purple shield and an R9, and that's gonna that's so good right there because it has so like large density of people. Now when you land Estates and get like really good shit, you should just get into the early game fights, because most people are gonna have really bad weapons and really bad shields. But you can always land Oasis or Bonsai if it's close range. Now World's Edge, you gotta land like, I would recommend only landing Fragment, because that's one of the only places I've like succeeded in getting high kill games. You can always land like other places where you see a lot of people are landing, but I would recommend Fragment, because it's not only is it one of the places where most people land, but it's in the center of the ring as well, so people always rotate into it. The same is a bit with Sorting Factory, but it's always more people in Fragment. Now, this was my tips today. Keep in mind, like, I have a lot more tips, but I couldn't fit every single one in one video. I want to thank you for all the recent support, all the new subscribers, and if you can consider subscribing, I would love it. Also hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like, and yeah, I hope you can get to 20 bomb, and we're getting close to 100 subscribers, so I just want to thank you all, and yeah, see you guys later, man. If you got any comments or anything you wonder about, anything you want to know, just like leave a comment in the comment section. I'm gonna answer every single comment, and bye bye.